Hello learners, this is Habiba with Excel with me. If you like the video, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Let's start today's class, that is research in education. In the previous class, we have understood in detail about what is population or universe, what is a sample and what is the process of, what are the types of this sampling we have understood with example also. Now even we have understood about the techniques of sampling, that is probability sampling and non-probability sampling. Just have a quick recap here. Probability sampling is every subject or a sample has equal chance to get selected. Here non-probability mostly involves judgment, here uses non-random. So probability sampling, what are the different methods? Simple random, systematic random, stratified random, cluster, multi-stage, systematic sampling here. So we have understood in detail about probability sampling in the previous class. If you have not seen that, please go back to the previous class and you can understand, and you can come back to the next part of the techniques of sampling, that is non-probability sampling. We will understand non-probability sampling in detail here. So let's start. Participants are selected because they are easy to access. So here researcher's choice is important here. They will select such subjects who can go easily and approach them easily to do their research. Here it is considered less expensive, less complicated and easy to apply. For example, your classmates and friends have a better chance to be a part of your sample here. Now what are the different methods of non-probability sampling? First one is convenience, second purposive, third quota sampling, fourth one snowball sampling. Let's understand in detail each one of them. First one is convenience sampling. Convenience itself tells you that it will be convenient to the researcher, that is participants are selected as per the own convenience of the researchers. Now they select the closest live persons as their respondents. Now subjects are selected who are readily accessible or available to the researcher. For example, choosing our classmates and friends for the study as per our convenience. Here you can see here convenience sampling, the researcher in the center here, conveniently they will approach who are their near ones, that is maybe classmates and friends who are readily accessible or available, their own convenience and closest live persons they will select. Now whoever the researcher meets the qualifies to be the part of the sample. For example, people in the streets also they can go conveniently and approach them, that is to get the questionnaire filled, take the copies of the questionnaire and stand in the corner of a street, give the copies of the questionnaire to the people passing by. So that is very conveniently you can do. Now the second one is purposive sampling, that is keeping in mind the purpose of the study, the researcher chooses the participants as per his or her own judgment, that is researcher's judgment is valued here, uses the judgment of an expert in selecting cases, or it selects cases with a specific purpose in mind. The researcher can judge, or whoever are assisting the researcher, they will also judge and give the help to the researcher. In exploratory research or in field research, this type of sampling is used generally. Now somewhat less costly, more readily accessible, more convenient, and select only those individuals that are relevant to the research design. Now there is no way to ensure that sample is truly representative of the population, and more emphasis is placed on the ability of the researcher to assess the elements of the population here. Whole responsibility will be on the researcher, that is judging the sampling out of those whole population whom that person, the researcher has to select, that is totally on the researcher's judgment. Now, for example, if we want to study the attitude towards any national issue, a sample of journalists, teachers and legislators may be selected for the study. That is, some purpose is there for that research. They qualify to be part of purposive sampling as they can more reasonably be expected to represent the correct attitude than other people or other class of people. Now, the third one is quota sampling. A fixed share of something that a person or group is entitled to receive or is bound to contribute. That is, we have to plan the number of participants in specified categories. Now, what is this quota sampling? Selecting the sampling according to some fixed quota. That is, maybe women or men, girls or boys, literate or illiterate. Any number of quota we can take, but grouping them into same way, that is homogeneous. This method may be further divided into uncontrolled and controlled. What is uncontrolled quota sampling? The researcher selects a sample as per his own convenience. That is, control is in the hands of the researcher. Uncontrolled. Then controlled quota sampling, some restrictions are imposed to limit researcher choice. There is no leniency to the researcher. Some restrictions will be on the researcher here in controlled quota sampling. This type of sampling is somehow related to stratified sampling. The researcher in quota sampling method selects the subjects available immediately fulfilling the criteria. Now, the fourth one is the snowball sampling, also known as chain referral sampling. That means, like snowball, if we see in the mountains, it rolls down and completes its by taking more and more snow with it and becomes a big snowball at the end. Likewise, we can take the chain, one link attached to the other link and again other link, another link, like that chain will be there. The researcher will approach to one person and that person will refer other person, like that chain will be followed. The sample is collected in various stages, basically sociometric in nature. That means socially people are helping the researcher to identify the subjects. This method is appropriate when the members of a special population are difficult to locate here. You can see the picture here. Researcher will approach to one sample or one subject, then that person will refer to other persons. Likewise, in this side also, a researcher will approach one person and that person will again help the researcher to get more samples in the same way. Now, for example, homeless people. We cannot take a group of homeless together at one place. So, what we will do? The researcher will go to the one person. That person may be knowing other same kind of persons. So, again the researcher will go with the reference of the first sample. Here, migrant workers, etc. So, it begins by the collection of data from one or more contacts usually known to the person collecting the data. At the end of the data collection process, example questionnaire, survey or interview, whatever way they want to conduct, the data collector asks the respondent to provide contact information for other potential respondents. Now, these potential respondents are contacted, interviewed and further asked to provide more contacts. This process goes on till the purpose of the researcher is achieved, obviously. Now, most useful when there are very few methods to secure a list of the population or when the population is unknowable. So, we come to the end of this session. Let's conclude. There are two types of sampling techniques, that is probability and non-probability sampling. Probability sampling is used for hypothesis testing in quantitative research. As we know, hypothesis is predetermined solutions will be tested in null hypothesis or alternative hypothesis. Quantitative, where there are numbers are included. Non-probability sampling is used to gather an initial understanding of the population for qualitative research. As we have seen, qualitative means attitude. So attitude is a qualitative. So in qualitative research, this non-probability sampling things are gathered here, data is gathered here. So this is the end of this session. If you like the video, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Thanks for your attention and time. Happy learning.